It is Friday, January 17th. It is divisional round of the National Football League preview. It is Geoff Schwartz. It is Matt Ford. The Geoff Schwartz is smarting you. We're glad to be along to talk about what everyone calls the best weekend in NFL season, Matt, even though three of the games are 6 points or higher in a spread. We have obviously the best game of the weekend, most likely Sunday afternoon between the Bills and the Ravens. You can find us on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok. Oh, TikTok, not anymore, buddy. No more TikTok. Sorry. You can find us everywhere else that we will provide you with. I have so many thoughts on that. I don't get me started on the TikTok ban. It seems like we have other things in our country to worry about besides banning a social media app. Nonetheless, I like watching it. Like when you're on the potty, man, you got a few minutes to kill. Put on TikTok. I found good music on TikTok, some recipes. I got recipes on there I like. Nonetheless, Matt, we're here to talk to you about National Football League. How are you doing? We talked about fires a lot last week. We will avoid that. We'll give another shout out though to the firefighters from all over that are helping out. Obviously, inmates are helping out as well. So are firefighters from Oregon and Washington, and Arizona and Vegas, and I mean, I guess Nevada. So we appreciate all the help on that. How you doing, buddy?
Doing much better than this time last week. Thanks. I'm a lot of people are. Things seem to settle down a bit. There's so much to be done from here. I don't think it's possible to have ever lived or really spent more than an extended period at all in LA and not know someone who was affected by this. And yeah, it's staggering. And I was just talking to someone. It's like every time you hear about someone, it's like another gut punch, even if you don't know them,
Yeah.
because it's just such an unimaginable loss in so many cases. So things are better for me personally, for Sam, the producer, personally, I think. So we're happy. We're happy to be here. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah, and we'll enjoy it by talking football, I believe, for four games. Who knows where we're going to go with this? But I want to, before we get started here, I want to give a shout out to Pine Sports. Go to Pine-Sports slash subscribe. Use promo code Geoff. It's a great tool. It is basically a sports wagering tool for professional sports to do research with. It has a great AI tool. I typed in there this week, Travis Kelce receptions after a bye. And it pulled up every game he has played with 7 days more rest. It listed out all the receptions and yards he had, and it listed them by the day's rest: 8 days rest, 14 days rest, 17 days rest. We'll talk a lot about why I like that in the first game here. It's a great research tool we talked about before for Mike Tomlin. Anything you can think of. You can also go and check out what their model feels about certain props. So if you like a prop this weekend, type in that player and it pulls up like all seven available. I remember putting Lamar Jackson in there, Matt, for I wanted to see just what it said over under certain props. You can sort of double check your work if you would like. It's a great tool to use. Again, pine-sport.com
It is sports with an
subscribe.
S. Sorry about that.
Oh, Pine, no,
Yeah, the graphic says sport. It's
Pine-sports. Okay.
sports with an S. Yep.
.com slash subscribe. Use promo code Geoff to get 50% off your first month there. It's an invaluable tool. It's
50%
great.
off. Like, come on. Like, we're hooking you up here.
I
And
also put in there this week, by the way, like Chiefs, Andy Reid off a bye. I mean, there's so many things you just search that you want to search, and I don't need to use Bill Barnwell anymore. Could just use Pine Sports. It's great.
yes, Jackson is their AI chat tool. Spoiler alert, Jackson is going to be making some picks later in the show. So thanks to the team at Pine Sports. I had a nice conversation with them yesterday. Great group, great product. We'll be talking about it a bit.
Yeah,
Even if we weren't friends with them, we would probably be
yeah.
talking about this the whole show anyway.
All right.
So I want to. Can I start with something, Geoff? I've got
Yes,
something before we get into
please.
these games. I was watching a little video today, and it was John Bernthal, who you may know from Walking Dead. You may know him from We Own This City, the sort of Wire sequel. Very celebrated actor. I have been a Washington Commanders R words fan my whole life. I never knew that this man rooted for my team. And last week I was watching NBC and they did a package with Jeffrey Wright beforehand. And everybody knows about McConaughey and Dale Earnhardt. It's like there's something shifting with this team, this Washington team. I don't think there's any group of fans on the planet having more fun than Washington fans right now. Like they are coming out of the woodwork. we've got new celebrity fans who are putting their brand on our brand, like something that just would have been unthinkable 14 months ago. Like honestly, when Dan Snyder owned this team, it was just impossible to think that anyone would be talking about anything even neutral with this team. And now they're playing Detroit, and everyone's like, kind of like them, kind of like the Commanders, a little
Yeah.
frisky. And
I
I just
I
can't. I'm doing the LeBron smiling, can't believe this is my
yeah.
life move like every day now.
I think I've watched every single film this guy's ever been in without knowing his name.
Yeah, he's a
So,
huge actor. He's the
Wolf
best.
of Wall Street, Fury, Sicario, Accountant, Baby
Yeah, Wolf of
Driver,
Wall Street. Yep.
Wind River. He's a guy that got killed in Wind River. Spoiler alert. Um, and the Bear, obviously,
Yep.
Punisher. Like so. Well, look, I think Matt, to your point, it's now cool to be a Commanders fan,
Yeah,
where it
it's the
wasn't
coolest.
previously. And Jaden Daniels, and we'll talk about this game that is tomorrow night, is not a rookie anymore. He was fantastic against Tampa Bay. And I texted you after the game, and it's very true. When you have a coach and a quarterback, you're set. Dan Quinn can coach. He can coach, man.
Yep, you
Obviously,
can.
13. It's not like they're 9-8 and they're 13-5 are your Commanders.
Yeah.
So it's cool to be a Commanders fan now, where for years I think people were in hiding. How do you think Daniel Snyder feels right now about right now? Do you think he's like jealous at all, pissed
I
at
hope
all?
he is. I
Just
hope he is
right?
bitter and angry and upset. He's very rich. So, God bless him, I guess. But I just think this is just such a unique situation, and I still feel like people aren't really giving Jaden enough credit quite yet. Like there was this conversation in this week of like, okay, there aren't that many guys who have ever won rookie quarterback who have won a game in the playoffs. And then there's even fewer who have won a next game in the playoffs. And like you look at, the last guy to do it was Mark Sanchez with the Jets. Joe Flacco had done it the year before. Like when Joe Flacco, or I'm sorry, when Mark Sanchez did this, like Darrelle Revis was on that team, Nick Mangold was on that team. Like there were tons of stars on that team. When Joe Flacco did it the year before, it's like it was the Ray Lewis Ravens. Like Jane Daniels is doing this with a bunch of nobodies for the most
Yeah.
part. Like there's McLaurin and there's Bobby Wagner and a few other really nice players, and that's it. So I just think, not only to do this as a rookie, but to do it as the focal point and the best player on the team, it's just unreal. Like we've never seen anything like it in our lifetime, at least. So
Well, that's
pretty
the
exciting.
Hail to the Commander segment of the Geoff Schwartz is Smarter Than You podcast. I know Matt's been waiting all week, which I absolutely love for this
I saw
Wall
that
Street
video
hype.
today and I was like, I'm starting with this. This is the
You
last week
should.
I'm going to have to do it, so I'm going to start
Yeah,
with it.
because I think we as much as you're a Commanders fan, I don't know if you're going to win this weekend.
I
It
don't
is
I
nice
don't
like
love
to
our
see like
chances.
obviously PFT is the number one Commanders fan I think out there doing media right now, and so
Matthew Berry.
obviously he's been pretty pumped. There was a PFT. You see the PFT comment about the end racism in the end zones of
Yeah,
NFL
yeah,
games?
yeah.
How many people could say that and get away with it?
Very, very good work by PFT.
Oh,
Those
it's
two guys
incredible.
are comic geniuses.
Yeah, they're great. Even though it sounds
Really
like Dan
respect them.
is not from Chicago, the horror. Have you seen
Yeah,
that story, by the way?
I have. It's a lot of people are very bent out of shape about
Okay,
that.
okay. Very quickly, it's not really a defense of Dan, but this does feel like a very internet thing. Like if I told you that I was a fan of a team and then I went to college somewhere, became a fan of a different team, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, that's not normally how it works." And yet somehow they're crushing Dan for being a Chicago sports fan after moving to Wisconsin and going to school there and becoming a fan. Then obviously he juiced it up for his work because that's what he was doing at the time. But like this feels like a very natural thing. Like if I moved to Charlotte and became a North Carolina fan, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense.
sure.
You're in Charlotte, or you become a Panthers fan." Like yeah, you're. And for some reason, they're just crushing Dan for being a Patriots fan as a youth, and then becoming a Chicago sports fan when you move there.
I just think, Jeff, this is what I've learned from my years in media.
Yeah,
This right now is as famous as I want to be. I want to be known by people who really love this show.
yeah,
Maybe a few, you've a lot of people follow you. Maybe a few people will be like, "Oh, this guy seems to have a nice opinion here and there." Whatever. I this I don't know how anyone wants the internet to like find reasons to be upset with them. Like it's just insane. It's an insane burden. I
Well,
can't imagine the
you have
people
to
who
learn to
put
ignore it.
themselves out there all
You
the
learn to ignore
time.
it. You learn to ignore it. Now, obviously, from my position, it's a lot easier, right? Than like say, like I feel much, like for Annie, like it's probably tougher for Annie. I'm sure the comments she gets aren't great. Um, but like I'm in a position where I can just see like, oh, you don't like me? Okay, like my life will continue. I'll just block you and move it along. Like I don't mean like
Yeah.
I don't care. Um, the Big Cat thing is different. He's so famous and he made up, he made such his personality the Chicago sports fan that coming out as being a Boston sports fan, I get why people I guess are upset about it, but yeah, I mean, I think what those two guys have done, by the way, is like they're both married. They have, I think, well, I know Dan has kids. I don't know if PFT has kids or not, but you wouldn't even know. Like they've done a great job of keeping their private life private. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense. Like, you got to keep your individuality somewhere. I just
Yeah,
think, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough out there. So, thanks for all the nice comments we
yeah.
get, and we do sometimes get them.
And
Hope,
leave us reviews, please. We do appreciate the
yeah, five
reviews.
star reviews.
Yeah, only five
Um,
star. I mean, preferably. But if you want to leave us less, I mean, you can let us know, but preferably 5 stars. All right, Matt. So the way we're going to do this today, like we did last week, we're going to give 5 wagers for the 4 games. We're going to list them out in basically order of strength. So 5 is a 5 point play, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we have Jackson's from Pine Sports will play along too. He will give the AI tool, Pine Sports will give their 5 best plays of the week. He'll also have notes for our 5 plays as well. So we'll share those out. Last week, I gained 7 points. I hit my 4 pointer, my 2 pointer, and my 1 pointer. So I got 7. I believe you beat me though last week.
I did. Haha. Yeah, I had Houston for my 5 pointer. I had the Rams, and I even took them at the money line for 2, and I did a double under for my 1 pointer. So
Okay.
yeah, we both hit Houston. That was the only side you took. You took Tampa first half, was that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that tied.
Well, only have one side this week, buddy. So
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, this is a great week. We'll touch on the national championship at the end too.
Okay.
So all right, first up, your Chiefs kick off the weekends at 4:30 Eastern tomorrow. They are laying 8.5, split down the middle, man. We're still seeing 50
Mhm.
50 money wise, so Vegas said a good number here. So I think the easy take is
Yeah.
Chiefs win, and do the Texans cover? That's the question.
So this is I do another podcast called Bear Bets with Sammy P. Wilhill and Chris Fleek, and Sammy mentioned that someone told him this line should be Chiefs -4 and then Chiefs money line -5,000. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, Chiefs are not losing. I have a lot of money in them not losing. I'll tell you that. I made a big money line wager on them. It's the first one I've done all season of a big money line for a favorite. Chiefs are 6-0 in divisional games with Patrick Mahomes. They're really good off a bye. Houston, dome team outside. It's going to be near 0 degrees. Matt kickoff tomorrow in Kansas City. Stroud plays worse. I mean, everything is aligned for Chiefs. Jalen Watson's back, which is a huge addition to their defense. They're very, very healthy on defense. And I think it's a tough matchup for the Texans. Now, do they cover the game? Probably. I mean, look, Matt, this game can be 24-17, and the Chiefs never feel like they're going to lose the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those games where covering 8.5 is hard. I will say, I'm sure you have this. You can look, you can use the Jackson tool on Pine Sports to look this up. But underdogs who win in divisional round, excuse me, wild card round, so round one, divisional round, Matt, they don't win and they don't cover very well. So just a note, we talk about Commanders, talk about the Rams, was a short dog. We talk about Houston, that was a 3 point dog. So um, I love 2 props in this game, same player. Well, I'll save those maybe for my we list them out now, right? And then we just repeat them at the end. Is that how we
No,
did
no,
this?
save them for the end. Save them
So we'll
for the
save
end.
it for the end. I like
Yeah.
a couple player props here. I think the Chiefs handle business. I think it's pretty simple. I have them a lot of money lines. I hope they do.
Yeah, the Chiefs will win. I think an interesting stat. So 13 plus days of rest, which Mahomes has. Mahomes 19-3 straight up 13-9 against the spread, and that includes some week one games. Obviously, that's more than 13 days of rest. Um, I think the way that the Texans keep this close is like, oh, the Chiefs come out a little flat. It's cold. Maybe they get a turnover or something. I definitely think that the Chargers and the Chiefs offenses are different, like different efficiencies, different
Yeah.
ways that they can screw up or not screw up in the Chiefs case. But the way that the Texans can keep games close is they have a great defensive line, they have a great secondary, and they can just sort of like, if it's cold, they can just kind of muck it up. And the total for this game, I think it's still the lowest of the weekend. I'll just double check that. It's 41.5. So if you're laying all these points with the Chiefs, like you kind of have to be honest. You're like, okay, so it's going to be, 24-10. Like if you're, somewhere around
Yeah.
there, 21-10, like that's possible. Um, the Chiefs often don't play games like that. They have the last three wins they had were all covers by more than the 8 points, which is interesting. But I think I think Houston is better than people realize. I think they're like a better playoff team than people realize. They have a decent defensive, they've, as I said, a good defensive line. They have a decent running attack, and Stroud is still like a quarterback. Like he's a real quarterback. So I think they probably keep this close, but of course the Chiefs are going to win this game, and I don't think it will ever really feel tight.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I know what your play is gonna be later on, but I have look again. I have a lot of my type of Chiefs just winning this game, and I think they will. I'm kind of unconcerned that they're going to lose this game. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't really see it happening.
Yeah, and I think that's probably works against the Chiefs a little. Like if this were Baltimore, you'd feel like maybe they pop, or Buffalo. But with the Texans, it's like they don't have to like empty their bag this week. They just need to get through to the next round.
No, and but again, I want to make the point like they're well versed in resting. Like I'm not expecting them to come out slow in this game. I just don't see it happening, Matt. They and even in the game where their offensive line played a drive against the Broncos, like they practiced that entire week. It's not like they just didn't play the full game. So I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to come out just fine. I'm not concerned about them, like in the
Hmm.
way they start this game, essentially.
Jackson says the Chiefs are 6-0 against the spread in their last six playoff games, which is crazy. But they're 16-17 against the spread with the rest advantage since 18.
Yes, they win those games, but don't cover.
Right. So that's pretty interesting, and this is a big number. I also think these two teams played already, and usually at that point, like the second time around, the Chiefs. This was what week?
It was just like a month ago.
Yeah, it was like week 15 or
It was
something, I
during it
want to
was during
say.
their 3 games in 11 days stretch.
Yeah, and the Texans, it
It was the
was
game. It was the game Mahomes was supposed to miss with his ankle. Remember?
yeah, and they won it right. That's right, and they won it by 8.
Yeah,
So yeah, we'll see. I think favorites of over 7.5 points have won 18 straight playoff games. So that
yeah,
doesn't bode well for the Texans or my team.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, let's move on to my team.
Okay.
Actually, they're playing the Lions 8 o'clock on Saturday. The Lions are laying 9.5. Again, the money is split right down the middle. Um, yeah, what's your take on this one?
Um, it feels like an uphill battle, Matt, for the Commanders in this
It
game.
does.
Um, look, great game last weekend. We spent the first 15 minutes talking about the Commanders. This did turn into a Commanders podcast for a couple of minutes, but I like when Matt's very passionate about his team, so we let it ride.
It's rare.
It is over the we did the show like 7 years now. I give Matt one 3-minute block in 7 years. I'll talk about the
That's all
Commanders.
I deserve, man. This team has been a mess.
um, and what's funny is the best moment, like the last 10 years, I was a part of. I was in the Vikings when RG3 had that touchdown run.
I
Yeah,
will never forget that.
yeah.
But now I
Um,
now I don't recall it as well because Jaden's given me so many new memories.
okay, the thing about this game is that it's a it's a Commanders. Jaden Daniels has to be like the best player in the field game for them to win. And he might end up being that guy, but the Lions are so talented and they're rested and they're off a bye. I mean, they're better than the Commanders. The Tampa Bay game, too. I mean, you can make the case that Tampa Bay didn't give the game away, Matt, but they made a lot of mistakes that Washington was able to capitalize on. And the Lions just aren't going to do that. And so I just like the matchup here for the Lions. I think that um, the Lions probably do cover. I don't have a side in this game. I think it's super high scoring. I haven't bet the total yet either. Here's why I haven't bet the total. Both these teams go for a ton on fourth down. If they don't convert on fourth down, then the game goes under. You know what I mean? Like it could be a 25% fourth down day for both these teams. They go 1 for 4 each of them. And now all of a sudden, the game is 24-20 instead of being 42-24, which I think is very possible. So I do like a prop in this game, according to like what I said about Daniels. I think Daniels has to be the man in this game for Washington to keep this one close. But I think the Lions are just better, Matt. I think they're just better than the Commanders.
Yeah, they certainly are. You're right. If you're backing Washington, basically, I think it's sort of similar to the Chiefs game where it's like, okay, Detroit's probably winning this one. How comfortable are you with, trying to basically hit a back door? Um, I think so. My theory, Geoff, is there's going to be at least one blowout this weekend. There's going to probably be one upset, and then there's probably going to be like a team that just sort of like, oh, feels kind of inevitable. And I can't tell what the upset's going to be. It's not going to be Houston. I have some doubts about the Rams that we'll get to. There's there is a possibility, and it's the possibility is that the Lions get a little bit distracted from the thing that will work against Washington, which is just running the ball constantly.
Correct.
Like Washington is atrocious against the run. They get David Montgomery back if he's fully healthy, and they run the ball consistently. I don't really see a way that this game is manageable for Washington. The thing that Washington can do is what they did last week, which is they played a slow game in that like there were stretches of like a whole quarter where Washington just had the ball the whole time, right? Like they can get the fourth downs. They do that weird thing where they like do the no huddle, but it takes all that time and it's just like a little bit of confusion for the defense. And if the Lions don't get the ball 15 times, then they can keep it kind of close. So
Yeah.
I do think Washington can, and I think that they're like, yeah, they're happy to be there, but they're going to run through the tape. They're a good team, and like
They'll play hard, yeah.
they will definitely play hard. I think, the thing that is potentially interesting, the Lions are one of the best first half teams against the spread this year. So if they come out super hot indoors, loud crowd, it could get really ugly quickly. But something that's kind of interesting is teams that missed the playoffs the year before in this round are where's the stat? Evan,
It's
our
not
friend
good,
at
right?
Action Network had it. What's that?
It's not good, right?
Road teams that missed the playoffs last year are 28-14 against the spread in the divisional round.
Oh,
So
no
they're
way. No
basically, it's
way.
just like, we're happy to be here. We're going to play our asses off. We have nothing to lose. And those are often the teams you don't want to face if you're one of these big favorites. So this is going to be a fun game. I think that probably the under is the play here if you're into the total, because I do think that both teams are going to say, hey, we need to just like hold on to the ball as long as we can to make sure that the other
Yeah.
team this doesn't turn into a shootout. So
What if there's a, what if the Lions just explosive play like the Commanders to death on the
they
ground?
could, but then Washington's play is not going to be like, cool, let's do that. Like
Well,
they
yeah,
can't really.
well, you'll see what I have for my wager for this game.
Yeah.
It's gonna be it's the reason why it's just sort of game theory, right? That's what I'm going
Yeah.
with.
I think that there's a good chance the Lions win and cover. I will probably, if I'm taking a side here, take Washington with the points. I'm obviously a bit biased, but yeah, it's basically a Jaden and Kingsbury shrinking the game play.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, all right.
all right, the next two games are great. Rams at Eagles. Public loves the Rams. 67% of the money, according to Action Network, is on the Rams, who are catching 6.5 in Philly. Where are you on this game?
Yeah, I like Philly well in this game, Matt. It's a
Me
bad
too.
matchup for the Rams. Let's just start with a couple of things that we know, right? Great win for the Rams on Monday night. They only scored 20 points offensively in that game, right? They had the 7 on defense. Take out week 18 when they didn't play. The 3 previous games, 13 points, 19 points, 12 points. So that's 12, 19, 13, 20 on offense. Not good enough, right, to play a road playoff game, in my opinion. Short week, going to the cold in Philly. So dome team outside in the cold. And what the Rams do well, right? Rush the passer on defense. The Eagles' offensive line is going to stop that. The Rams' rush defense not great. What the Eagles do well, they run the ball really well. Matt Stafford, if he gets pressured by the front four and Cooper Kupp is not sort of the wide receiver he's been, he's a little older, a little more beat up. If they take away Puka Nacua, where's the ball going? I just think that there's a lot more what ifs for the Rams, and I feel very comfortable with what I know about the Eagles. You can certainly make the case that the Eagles' offensive struggles last week, we've seen those this season, and whether they're going to show up in this game, I don't know. But we have seen this season, Matt, when they played poorly in offense, and it wasn't the best performance for them. The next week they typically come back and play better. And they're the one unit that when you look at Buffalo and Philly and the Rams that rested, the Eagles' offense was the one out of the basically six units for offense and defense that sort of looked like they were still on a bye week. Like they didn't play as well as we thought they would after the bye. Nonetheless, I like them anyways. This game feels 28-13, 27-13 to me.
I think that I mean, everyone's brought this up, but I'll bring it up. Saquon, last time these two teams played, had a 300-yard game. There's a lot of concern about Phillies, mainly Hurts, AJ Brown, whether they're both healthy, whether they talk to each other. Those are two separate concerns, but they're big ones. And I have a feeling like Philly has one path to winning the Super Bowl, and it's by handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley a lot.
Yep.
And their defense is fantastic. And this is a tough one, man. Like, if you're just picturing this isn't brilliant insight by any means, but the Rams, they go to Arizona, they win this game in a crazy week. They fly back to LA. Then they have a short week where they have to fly across the country and play in freezing cold outside weather where they have to tackle Saquon Barkley 100 times. It's not a great spot. The fact that everyone loves the Rams and the line is actually moving in the Rams' favor because the models all favor Philly so much, I think is very telling. And it's not great. Like teams that go outside, indoor teams that go outside in the cold, like tend to not do well. Matthew Stafford in December or later, 6-24 as an underdog coming into the season. He's won his last three. Stafford's just started one game in under 40-degree temperatures in the last 3 years.
Jeez,
So,
wow.
I mean, I think this is a game built for the Eagles. Physical team on both sides of the line. Like they're not going to get, the Rams pass rush looked way better than it actually is after last week. And I just think Philly is going to overwhelm them. I think they're too good.
I think so too. Um, I have a fun wager for this game, Matt. It's a little off the wall, but I like it. I actually have two. I think I gave you two wagers for this game. One normal,
Interesting.
one a little off the wall. So, I sent them to you yesterday. You know what? I hope. Did you read the email? You just forward it right to Pine Sports
For our
to
friends at Fine
compare.
Sports. I
Yeah.
did read it, but I think I still have a 1-year-old, so my memory is kind of just like it
Oh
just
yeah,
things
that's
goes
that that,
enter
that is that is very
and
fair.
exit. Yeah,
That's
so
very
I
fair.
I
Yeah.
read it, I retained
Okay.
it, and it's gone.
Um,
Um,
yeah. So I got two wagers in this game. Actually, I have a side for once, for a normal wager because Matt was mocking me for not having any normal wagers. The other one is not normal. So, um, there's many ways to play this one, and I like the Eagles to cover this one. All right, we got one more game left. Everyone says it'll be the best game of the weekend. Do you think it's the best game of the weekend?
we'll see. It's certainly the one that has seemingly the most on the line. It's Baltimore at Buffalo.
Yep.
Baltimore laying points in Buffalo, and it's split. Everybody's right down the middle again. So you can get a 1 or maybe a 1.5 for either side here. So yeah, man, what's your take? I mean, this is this
All right.
is this is going to be interesting.
So I actually, Matt, have zero wagers on this game.
Hmm.
And you want to know the reason why? I'll tell you. Well, it's my part. I'll tell you why. Um, Neither of these teams, the iterations with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, have won this game yet. They've lost this game every time. Someone has to win, obviously, but they've lost this game every time, right? Buffalo can't beat Kansas City. Baltimore didn't beat Kansas City last year. Did beat the Titans a couple years ago. They've all lost this game, Matt. Now they've lost it mostly to the Chiefs, so they're not playing the Chiefs this weekend. But they've lost this game, and the pressure is immense on both these quarterbacks to get it done in this game. And this game to me comes down to something we cannot predict: a turnover, a special teams play, a fumble, a drop, like just something that we don't. Because I think these teams are very, very even. Quarterback even. Yeah, Derrick Henry's great, but James Cook's not a slouch. Bill's offensive line is better. Tight end, good tight ends, good wide receivers. Young for Buffalo. Defense, Buffalo's probably a little bit worse, but they have guys back and healthy. Like it just feels this game is so even, Matt, that I'm gonna watch it. I have nothing on it right now.
Hmm. You're not alone, actually. Like everybody who I've talked to has kind of seen it the same way. And I think, there isn't a ton of there isn't just like a ton of value on either side. Like I'm
Correct.
gonna say Buffalo is the side. Like I'll take Josh Allen catching a point at home in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, but Baltimore has more ways to win, I think. And the reason why they wouldn't win this game is if they get a little bit cute on how they play on offense. Like I did notice last week when they were playing Pittsburgh, and it did feel like the Pittsburgh game was getting a little bit closer. There were just like a couple of third down throws. Zay Flowers was out that Lamar just kind of missed. And it
Yes.
was sort of like, I'm not sure Josh Allen would miss those. I'm not sure Jared Goff would miss those. Like any of the Jalen Hurts definitely would miss them. But almost any other quarterback in the playoffs, you kind of feel like is making those throws.
Yeah.
And if Baltimore's in like a 3rd and 6 late in the game, I'm kind of worried. And with
Okay.
Josh, I'm not. And I think the home crowd is going to be a huge advantage. I think that Baltimore is getting a lot of pop from a win last week that, was kind of expected. And I don't know, man. It just feels to me like Buffalo isn't going to lose this game, but they love to lose in this round. So I
Yeah.
too am going to stay away. But if I had to pick, I think it's going to be Buffalo.
I will say that I think if you ask most football people who cover the sport, they say like this is Baltimore's time. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't either.
The time for what? Like they're the 3 seed. Last year was their time when they were the 1 seed. Like this is not their time. They got to play 2 road games potentially against Buffalo and Kansas City. Baltimore is good, but like I don't view them as like this is their time. Derrick Henry's obviously add a different element to what this team can be. They run the ball really well at the end of games. They close out games well. But I mean, look, Josh Allen just does so much to extend plays and throw the ball down the field. Lamar can do that, of course, as well. But those plays Josh makes are backbreakers, dude. They're killer. And again, to me, you can't handicap for those. So I had nothing for this game. I mean, it's totally fine. I have nothing for games, Matt. I got nothing for this one.
Yeah, these are
Um,
good games. They're hard to
yeah,
predict.
yeah. All right. We've gone through the 4 games. We're now going to give you our picks again. Five. We're going with 5-star, 4-star, 3. So that's how we get points for the game. So you win your 5-point game, you get 5 points, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points.
Yep.
With their help, Pine Sports, Pine-Sports/subscribe, promo code Geoff, you get 50% off. Their AI tool, Jackson, is going to give us notes for these wagers and then give us his top 5. I think it's props, right? Or wagers for the weekend. Is it props or wagers for the weekend?
Yeah, I don't think there's any sides.
No, there's any side. So you can also take, again, guys, I'm telling you, this tool is fantastic. You can go type anything you want in there. Just anything pops your head for any stat. You can analyze your idea of what you think player props are going to be with their projections and their tools. There's other people submit sort of their basically um what's it called? Their their system plays essentially, right? They create their own system. You can find those as well. Highly recommend them to you guys to just use and try for at least a month. Promo code Geoff and see if you like it. It helps your research. I'll tell you that, Matt. All right.
Yeah.
So would like me to do my 5 first?
Yeah, go through it.
Okay. So here's my 5 with our good friends here, Pine Sports. Travis Kelce over 5.5 receptions.
Wow.
All right. So here's the thing with Travis Kelce. He's had since 2019, since the Super Bowl run, he has had 8 playoff games, Matt, where he has had at least 8 days off, essentially, right? Basically, I went bye week. So 8 games we had a bye week, essentially, okay? That includes like last year when they didn't play week 17. So the week he had off, okay? In those 8 games, Matt, including 2 Super Bowls, he's had at least 6 targets and 6 catches. And in 6 of the 8, essentially the non-Super Bowls, he had 10 or more targets with 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14 catches. This is the time of year when the bye week does Travis a lot of good. He's fresh, he's healthy, and Mahomes targets him a ton because that's his due in these games. So I think what happened in the previous games don't matter. Look at what happened in the playoff games when he has rest. So Travis Kelce over 5.5 receptions. I'm going to correlate this with Travis Kelce over 52.5 receiving yards, Matt. If he gets those catches, he's getting those yards. So those are correlated. So basically, it's one bet I'm putting into 2 bets. My 3-star play essentially is the Eagles covering 6.5, 6. We talked about this earlier. I think the Eagles just win this game 27-13. Like, they're better. They're going to grind this one out, Matt. I don't think the Rams are going to score. It's not a situation I like the Rams here. Jaden Daniels over 34.5 pass attempts. This is a Jaden Daniels game, Matt. They have to throw the football for them to keep this game close. It's a high number. You're the Commanders fan. I mean, this feels like a 40 pass attempt type of game for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. The last one. This is the oddball. You ready? Do we agree the Eagles are going to win? You agree with me, right?
Yeah,
And Saquon Barkley's going to rush the ball decently well. I love taking his backup Gainwell over rushing.
that's
It's over
fun.
9.5 yards. Okay.
That's fun.
It's like 3 carries against with this Eagles offensive line. That's all he needs. Run the ball a lot. He's the third down running back, 3rd and 6. They love to run the ball in 3rd and 6. 3rd and long, they run the football. So with our friends here at Pine Sports, he averaged 18 yards a game in his last 10. This is hit over 70% of the time. So those are my 5. Hopefully I can, what's the math on that? 9, 12, 15 points, right? I feel like we get all 15 points here.
Yeah, I love the Gainwell one. He's let's see, in the last 10 games, he's hit that 70% of the
Yeah.
time, according
Yeah.
to Jackson. So yeah, I like that one. I think the Kelsey one's fun. I mean, you're exposed, and it's interesting because I have another Chiefs prop bet, and why don't we just go to it? I'll
Yeah.
explain.
Let's do yours.
So I have my favorite bet of the week. The graphic says 8. I'm going to say that I got the 8.5, which is still the number on the Texans. The Chiefs 15 wins, as it says here. They've covered 8 points 4 times, and 3 of them were in the last 3 games that they won. I just don't think that the Chiefs have any incentive to blow anyone away here.
No.
We've seen this movie so many times where they just, it's close. It's not, oh, it's a backdoor. Oh, whatever. Now we see Carson Wentz at the last drive, and oh, wait, it's only an 8-point game, but it never really felt close. So, of all the spreads this weekend, I felt like this one was probably the most doable. So I will take Houston to cover. They were my 5 slot last week and did me well. I'll take Washington to cover the 9.5. We've talked plenty about them. No double-digit losses since week 1. So I think that no matter what, they'll just keep this game close, even if it doesn't feel like it's a close game. My prop bet, Geoff, is
I
Noah
see
Gray.
it. I see.
So the case here, basically, this was Jackson who helped me out. So he's the last couple weeks he hasn't hit this because they've just rested him, or obviously the last week, but they haven't really needed it. Like they
Nope.
were kind of up in these big games. But the thing with Houston, they're so good in the secondary. They have great corners, right? Stingley. They're able to I think they're going to key in on the wideouts and worry about the run game. And so I think Kelsey's going to get his chances, and I think Gray's going to get his chances. And yeah, 70% hit rate of over 11.5 yards. This was the thing that Jackson shouted out from the rooftops. And I had the same read of the game as you did. And I laughed when I saw that Kelsey was your choice, because I
Yeah.
think Gray is a safe bet, especially if it's like the game's kind of out of hand and they need a throw. Like I
Well,
think Gray could be the
he's.
guy.
I mean, they play a bunch of 2 tight end formations, and he's a two
Yeah.
tight end guy, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So I like Gray. That's my 3-star. My two
Okay.
star is Philly, and this is a same game parlay teaser. So shout out to Ian at Pine Sports for getting this on the graphic. So I'm going to tease up the total 6 points.
Okay.
So I think that based on the script of this, I think it makes sense based on the cold weather and the success that both the running backs. Kyron Williams also has had a lot of success. He was very good at the beginning of the game
Yeah.
last week. I think in the beginning of this game, it's just going to be a heavy handle of
Yeah.
Barkley and Williams. So I'm getting a little bit of value. I'm passing through some key numbers on the total. And then this teases down to the Eagles just to win. So this goes from 6.5 to
Yeah.
half
Perfect.
a point. So I'm same game parlaying those. And Buffalo's my last pick. I think,
Okay.
I'll throw a flyer on it. I'm not as well versed in the prop market as you are. So this was the one I was like, you know what? I think Buffalo catching a point and a half
I
is
like it.
at
It's
this
better than
number.
Baltimore.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
let me just go ahead and take Josh Allen to win this game at home. So we'll
Okay.
see. I'm not putting all my bones on that one,
One
but
star.
I like my five.
Um, all right. So we
And
have my five, your five. Let's see Jackson's five picks here.
yeah, so
We
this
asked
is
the AI
from the
tool.
AI at Pine Sports.
Oh, I okay.
Go
So
ahead.
the five-star play is Barkley longest rush over 18 and a half yards. I played this a few weeks ago. I like this market. I the longest rush. Um, it's a good market to be in.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, he had two 70-yard touchdowns last time these two teams played. So yeah,
I like that. I'm
he's
gonna
the
play
key to
that
the
too.
team. So it's an interesting read there.
I'll
You
play
want to go
rush
through
yards
the
over.
rest?
I play longest rush over a lot. It's a fun market to play. Um, all right. Number four, Kareem Hunt over 8.5 rush attempts. They project 10.4 to 10.5 rush attempts. The only thing I'll say is Andy Reid is so much of like a hot hand guy that
Hmm.
I never really know if he's going to give the rush attempts to everyone or just the guy who's rushing the ball well. If this is a not a blow up, but not a close game, Kareem Hunt will certainly get this. He does get a lot of the short yardage carries too. It's not a bad call here.
It's if the hot hand comes, then this could easily
Yeah.
cash.
Um,
Especially if it's a blowout at any point.
yeah. All right. You have next up Jalen Hurts longest rush over 11 and a half yards.
Interesting one.
70% hit rate in the last 10, 80% in the last five. The projection is 15 yard rush here. As someone who had Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts last weekend, Matt, over his rush yards. It was 36 and a half. I got. He had 37. Then Saquon Barkley decided to take a knee on that final rush. Jalen Daniels, I mean Jalen Hurts, I should say, had a kneel down and I lost by half a yard.
Oh man.
And it had already been graded as a win. And I got an email saying like 6 hours later they regraded it as a loss. That
Oh,
was that was a lot of fun. Ton of fun. That was
brutal.
fun. All right. Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns here. They project 2.5 passing touchdown, excuse me, 2.15. They just think he's going to pass the ball, which makes sense, right? I mean, you gear up to stop the run, right? And you end up, boom, hitting, and the last one, the one-star play is Xavier Hutchinson on the Texans, under
Interesting one.
17 and a half receiving yards.
Xavier Hutchinson. I have to Google this man.
I will say that I was texting earlier in the week with a buddy that's just a sharp guy in the community here who actually had his over 11 and a half. So
Hmm.
that number is 6 yards different after they played that number. So interesting, right? I mean, at 11 and a half, you're like, cool. 17 and a half might not be worth it anymore. Take
Hmm.
the over.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Well,
17 and a half now. So 6 yard difference. Wow.
this is why you use a tool like this, right? Like these aren't just like guys giving out picks like us. These are I would never have even played any of these markets.
Yeah.
Maybe the Lamar one. So we'll see
Averaging
how
just
they
10
do.
yards, averaging
I like the
10.6 yards a game.
challenge.
Yeah. All right. So we'll tweet out these graphics. I think we should do that. If
Yeah,
you
for
send
sure.
them to me or send them to Sam or Hank, whoever has access to my Twitter account. It's not great, probably that Hank has access to my Twitter account. Nonetheless, though, pine-sports.com/subscribe, use promo code Jeff. It's a great tool, guys. If you like to research things to sort of have numbers to back up your wagers, or even just sometimes maybe you're wrong and need someone to double check. They're the ones to use. All right, buddy. Anything else?
I'm I'm fired up, buddy. Go Commanders.
Any more
Enjoy your
Commanders talk?
weekends.
No more, no Fires talk.
I think we're all set, dude. I
God,
think we've covered it all.
I've seen so many people talk about the Fire. Bill Burr had a great one on Jimmy Kimmel. It's like you don't even live here. Like, why are you talking about this? You have no idea. It's frustrated me to no end. But it's crazy how the cycle just passes. It's like no one talks about it anymore on social media.
Yeah.
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 Well, wish everyone the best luck in your bets this weekend. Continue to support to the firefighters in
Yes.
Los Angeles batting those fires. Look, my dog said enough, man. He's like, enough of you talking. I'm ready to go. He's about to jump in my lap right now. So I think we're done here, everyone. We'll
Thanks,
talk to you
buddy.
guys next Friday. We'll have two games. Oh, quickly, very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio State -8.5. Riley Leonard over 14.5 rush attempts. These championship games most often are blowouts, Matt. It's a bad matchup for Notre Dame. There's nothing Notre Dame is better than Ohio State. Ohio State has bigger, faster, stronger. Ohio State has allowed 17 points or more to one team this season in two games. That's Oregon, 21 and 32 points. Otherwise, everyone has scored 17 points or less. It's just a bad matchup for Notre Dame. So I have Ohio State covering, and I have Riley Leonard, their quarterback on Notre Dame, over rush attempts. Remember, in college football, a sack is a rush attempt. So four
Hmm.
sacks and 15 rush and 11 rush attempts, essentially you're over. So 5 sacks, 10 rush attempts. There we go. So that's my CFP preview.
Okay. I like it. Good luck to you, buddy. Good
All
luck
right.
on your bets. Great to see you.
Same here, buddy. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Peace, everyone. Have a
Thanks,
good
Sam.
weekend.